Hello everyone, welcome to Chasing a Murder. And today we're going to go over some new, well, it's kind of eerie information coming out on a story that kind of grabbed my heart. That would be Nancy Ning. Let's go over this kind of quickly here. I have other videos you can check out that I've already uploaded, but we'll go over some. Nancy Ning is 29 years young. She is an example of love, kindness, and carefree. She loves yoga, nature, and working with disabled children. One year, she planned a trip to Guatemala to practice what she loves so much, yoga. Nancy absolutely fell in love with the area. Nancy enjoyed it so much that she planned another trip to Guatemala in 2023. The trip was actually scheduled for her to arrive October 14th and leave October 22nd of 2023. But on October 19th, just a few days before her departure to go back home in California, Nancy and her yoga group of about 10, which was headed by a guy named Eddie, decided that they would rent a few kayaks and spend some time on the lake Antillán. The owners of the kayaks said that they could see this group of 10 head out into the water. All seemed to be excited to go on this little adventure together. The owners of the kayaks even managed to get a few pictures of the group. Also, there is an unknown person that actually recorded Nancy as she was paddling her way to meet up with the group.
Nancy Ng's family says this is the last known video of her taken October 19th. Has now been provided to rescuers. The 29-year-old was on a yoga retreat when she went on a kayaking excursion in the remote area of Lake Antillán.
The owners of this company renting out the kayaks are Lee and Elaine, and that they could see this group for quite a bit of time as they were paddling out into the distance. Later, they noticed that 8 of them returned while 2 others remained way out in the distance. They guessed it was about 100 yards out until they paddled completely out of sight. The 2 solo kayakers were Nancy and Christy. Lee and Elaine said that they don't see this couple for a while when they notice that one of the girls are being ushered up the steps by their yoga instructor, Eddie. According to Elaine, this person seemed to be very distressed. Though they had no idea what they were distressed about, they knew there was something happening. Both Lee and Elaine said that neither of the kayak members in that group said a word. The next thing that they knew, all of those people that belonged to that yoga group headed back to the United States, which was about 8 to 12 hours later. They left so quickly that they didn't even pay for the rentals for the kayaks. According to Lee and Elaine, it was kind of like they just vanished.
No one in the group was interested in talking to anybody. It was almost like immediately clamming up and like, we're not going to say anything.
The next thing we know that happened, and we don't have all the details still, is that Nancy's family receives a call while her father saying that something happened. They couldn't find Nancy. They tried to get the police reports, tried to find answers, and the one witness that was with Nancy didn't even have that much to say in the police report, which stood out to be a red flag for the family, and of course it should have. Nearly a month goes by, and the family can't even talk to the witnesses and find answers. For some reason, the few people who witnessed what happened refused to talk to the family and bring them any kind of help as they continue to search for Nancy. The only thing they had a clue about was she probably drowned. Nearly a month later, finally, the last person that had seen Nancy alive, Christina Blazek, talks to her attorney. Let me share a clip where the attorney is speaking for his client. Her name is Christy, and gives you only a nibble of what could have happened that day. Now remember, the family and the whole world that follow the story, They don't understand why the witness hasn't talked.
To say that my client hasn't done all she can is just not true.
The attorney for Christina Blazek is sharing her account of what happened to Nancy Ng while out kayaking.
She tried to tell her not to swim because it was rough out there and there was a good current.
Now, when we learned this story, we were told that this other person that Nancy was with was part of her group. So, but guess what? Christina is saying no, that they were both solo on the lake and that they ran into each other and kind of started chatting. And that's when Nancy tells her that she wants to go for a swim. Christina is actually a public defender that is living in San Bernardino, California. So I want to pop that in there real quick.
Blazek, a San Bernardino County public defender, was also on the lake. Through her attorney, she says despite her warning, Ng went for a swim, in the process pushing her kayak away into the water, which Blazek then tried to retrieve.
This just really doesn't make sense to me, and I'm sure not to anyone, but we know that Nancy had on a bathing suit. She's saying that she wants to go swimming to this stranger whom she's never met, and she does so in a way that she pushes her kayak to kind of drift away from her. According to Christina's account, she says, no, don't do that because the currents are bad and the water is rough, which is, I don't know about that. I've looked it up. I've not seen anything on that. There is a lot of people who swim in that lake and they do give warnings, but it's not for drowning. It's for the fecal matter. Let's listen in a little bit more.
She kept one leg in her kayak and one leg in the other kayak and tried to get back to her and got close to her. And then apparently she lost the kayak again and she turned around to go back to get the kayak again. And when she turned back around, Miss Ng was gone.
So they're giving you information, but the information is so limited that it sounds sketchy. First of all, there's a lot missing. Was she struggling or was she just swimming at the time that she was retrieving her kayak? Why did she go after her kayak? You got to think, if she was swimming fine and then suddenly not, wouldn't there be a warning? I thought of all kinds of things. I thought of hypothermia. I thought about the fact if she was a swimmer, she could go swim after her own kayak. Why is it that Christina's going after her kayak and not Nancy?
For Ng's family, it's the first time they say they've heard Blazek's account after several attempts to reach her.
If it is like she says and it's an accident, I don't understand how she could choose to leave my family in the dark for almost 4 weeks and not just say that from the start.
Those two kayakers were Ng and another woman.
We watched them as they continued paddling until we lost sight of them.
A distress signal called in. The next thing Elaine Beale says she sees.
I witnessed the survivor being ushered up the steps with the yoga instructor. She was clearly distressed, and they didn't say a word to us.
But no sign of Nancy Ng. The Beals say they called the group's hotel the next morning because they hadn't been paid, only to learn they were gone.
I hope she could understand that we have no account of what happened, because she's the only person that saw what happened and it wasn't included in the report.
Blazek's attorney says his client has since spoken to the FBI after learning Guatemalan officials wanted to speak to her again. Ng's family says some of the people on the retreat have also reached out, but they are still hoping to hear directly from Blazek about what happened on the lake.
Yeah, there's some really sketchy stuff going on there. It just doesn't make sense that she left the family so long in the dark. If she wasn't with the group, she was seen walking with Eddie. According to the kayak, the people that were renting the kayak, that said that she looked distressed. I hope the police continue to look into this. And I hope, if this is the truth, that she will come forward and talk to the family, because if there's nothing to hide, then speak truth. But, she's talking about more about what happened to the kayak, because we know that she could use that to float on if she was struggling, that the kayak disappeared for some reason, and how she tried to bring the kayak back to her. instead of saying what happened to her, it's more about what she did instead of what happened to Nancy. So yes, please keep looking into this case because something smells foul. Get on it, sleuths. You know you can probably dig up some good stuff. All right, I gotta go, guys. I love you guys. Don't forget to share our missing girls' faces. People like Jasmine Robinson. They need your help. I'll see you guys soon.